Crypto.com is going to the moon and it's taking the CRO token with it. Today we're going to go through the AMA with Chris Marszalek, pick out the key salient points and tell you why you should also be bullish on not just Crypto.com, not just CRO, but also the Kronos chain. So sit back, relax, and let me take you through what Chris has had to say. So there were some surprising facts coming out of Chris and the metrics around Crypto.com. The first is that the 3 months following the election, they made more money than they made in 2023. And he expects a rally towards the end of the year going into 2026, which lines up with my November 2025 all-time high, certainly for Bitcoin. In addition, Chris highlighted the fact that he thinks the 4-year cycle is over. I disagree, but what do I know? He runs a company with 140 million users, and I have a YouTube channel. Now, as we covered on a previous video, Crypto.com announced that they were making around about $1.5 billion a year in turnover, of which $300 million is profit after the sponsorships, after the staffing, after the build out. So $300 million in profit, burning a hole in Chris's pocket. If that's the case, expect some acquisitions along the way. Maybe Crypto.com goes and buys a few more American-based enterprises between now and the end of the year. It certainly wouldn't be a surprise to me. And the biggest shock is their partnership with Truth Social. Crypto.com will be the custodian of the ETFs launched via Truth Social and their connections with World Liberty Finance and their connections, therefore, with Donald Trump. Is this payback for sponsoring the 2024 election? Possibly. In some way it goes to repay Chris for his faith in the Trump campaign. However, for me, this is more about the reputation rather than the revenue. I think being associated with World Liberty Finance, associated with Truth Social and Trump, that's going to go a long way to validating Crypto.com in America. So the eyes on Crypto.com will firmly be focused on the CRO token, which is something we haven't been able to say on this channel for a very long time. In addition to this, he went over the controversy about the unburn of the 70 billion tokens. He said the tokens were burnt in a time where they were going to go defensive. Now the gloves are off, they are in America, they can go on the offensive and unburn the 70 billion tokens. Now, I don't necessarily agree with inflating the supply. I think it's a terrible optic for Crypto.com. Now, the optics are what matters here. We've just spoke about the fact that they're associating themselves and aligning themselves with World Liberty Finance, Truth Social and Donald Trump. In that respect, that's bullish optics. The negative optics are when the likes of Zach XBT turn around and call Crypto.com a scam for basically reminting 2.3 times the number of tokens in circulation. Now, we know why they've done this. We know all of the reasons. We know there is going to be a Crypto.com stablecoin. We know all of this, but the optics matter. And that is, I've been critical of Chris about this in the past, that is what's important, the optics of how Crypto.com looks. Is anybody going to care in 12 months' time if CRO is over $1? No. Is anybody going to care when Crypto.com have a massive multi-billion-dollar valuation? No. It's not about that. It's how it was handled, and in my opinion, it was handled poorly. But that really is my only negative about Chris over the last 3 or 4 months. He then went into more depth on CRO and how he sees it growing. Institutional investors tend to be diamond hands. They don't tend to sell. That will certainly help the price of CRO. Being included in the ETFs will also help with the price of CRO. But building out the Kronos chain is also going to help. Getting more builders onto the Kronos chain is one thing, but supporting the existing projects on the Kronos chain is something else, and that needs to be addressed. Ken Tismit has left Kronos chain and he has been replaced. Only time will tell if this gentleman is up to the task of revigorating the Kronos chain. And in addition to the news about CRO, the ETFs and the Kronos chain, he spoke about America and how he sees Crypto.com lining up over there, aiming for VIPs and of course rolling out the suite of new products, whether it be banking, whether it be stock trading or prediction markets. So the future is bright for the Kronos chain, the future is bright for CRO and for Crypto.com. So what do I think about the AMA? I think it's everything I expected it to be. I put out a tweet a few days ago saying that CRO would go over 10 cents following the AMA, and it has done. We're sitting at 10.5 cents. Following an AMA, Chris always pumps the price of CRO, not directly, but through his words. Now, I think this was an AMA of answering the questions that Chris wanted to answer and not the questions that the community wanted answering. However, he did give us an insight into how Crypto.com is going to move forward, the strategy, how he sees it working with the ETFs, how he sees himself working with the regulators over there now the jurisdiction has changed from left to right, how he sees CRO in the future, and Kronos Chain. So overall, it was a very bullish AMA. Very bullish if you're a holder of CRO. Certainly it's very bullish for you. Now, to celebrate the AMA, they launched a 15% APR on CRO. That's open to you on a first come, first served basis. So maybe go and check that out. In addition, they're going to upgrade the reward center, maybe make it pick and mix, maybe add additional features to it. Only time will tell. But that's very, very bullish for user acquisition and user retention, something else I've been critical of Chris about in the past. Forgetting about the OGs to bring on another 100 million people makes perfect business sense, but morally, it's not the way I would go. So we've got the 15% APR, we've got the new reward center, so there is a reason to be bullish on that in the near term. In terms of price action of CRO, I think it will return down towards 9 to 9.5 cents. I think if Bitcoin starts to move up in April or May, then CRO will follow suit, and we'll be looking at a 20-25 cent CRO within the next couple of months before maybe another pullback over the summer. However, long term, and that's what I need to focus on now, and long term means post 2025 all-time high. We have 3.5 to 4 years to get crypto embedded in America, and Crypto.com are going to be a big part of that. We've seen the investment in Binance, the 10% investment in Binance by Trump's associates. That's going to bring Binance closer to America. Crypto.com are already there. So Trump is playing with the two big boys, Crypto.com, and they're playing with Binance. We obviously have Kraken and we have Coinbase, but those are the two that have been chosen. We've seen the launch of World Liberty Finance's own stablecoin on BNB and Ethereum. We're going to see Crypto.com launch its own stablecoin. That's all bullish for BNB and, of course, the Kronos chain. So it's all rosy in the garden. And I think the next 3 or 4 years, Crypto.com is going to reach 200, 300, 500 million users. Of course it is. It's in with the President of America. And I think, as a side effect of that, I think the price of CRO will appreciate, certainly in excess of the $1 mark, and maybe even somewhere close to the $2.71 price target that some of the Kronos degens out there seem to think we're going to hit in November. If we get anywhere near 60 to 80 cents in November, then that will be a solid return from the 5 or 6 cents low that we had in 2023. Some things just take time, and I think the CRO price, the Kronos chain, and Crypto.com are going to need more than November to hit all-time highs. But this is massively bullish. I am massively bullish. I haven't heard anything really out of the ordinary from Chris other than he's sticking to his plan, but that plan is a solid plan. And again, I might appear negative on X sometimes, but I'm only trying to be critical of things that I personally feel are wrong. Overall, I'm very bullish on Crypto.com. I think it has an incredible future. And if I was to back one exchange only, I would back Crypto.com over the next 3 to 4 years. Anyway, thank you for watching to the end of this video. I have been Mike. You have been great. Until the next video, adios, CRO fam.